So hello everyone, my name is Natalie Spencer and I'm very delighted to join you today. I am a program officer in the Office of Academic Exchange Programs at the United States Department of State's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs. We call it ECA. The whole name is quite a mouthful. I'm also a proud graduate of the University of New Mexico, which is one of the institutions that was recognized as a 2022 Fulbright HSI leader, so go Lobos. And although I was fortunate enough to study abroad during my undergraduate experience at UNM through an exchange program, I'm not a Fulbright alumna myself, full disclosure. I have a very clear memory of the director of study abroad at the time telling me that I might be a good candidate for a Fulbright, but as a first generation college student attending UNM, which some affectionately or maybe not so affectionately call the university near mom, I really didn't think that these kinds of prestigious nationally competed awards were for someone like me. So I now, of course, know that I was very wrong, and I'm really happy to be on the other side here at ECA working to promote these opportunities. And I'm really grateful to all of you who are in this session today, who are working every day to reach students like me with these opportunities. So in recognition of the Fulbright HSI Leaders Initiative and on behalf of the Department of State and ECA, I welcome all of you here today. We're really pleased to host today's Fulbright HSI workshop for administrators, faculty, and staff around the United States. The Fulbright program is the flagship international exchange program sponsored by the US government. It has fostered mutual understanding between US citizens and the citizens of other countries for 76 years. The Fulbright program is funded through the generosity of US citizens. The United States Congress provides an annual appropriation to ECA, which then sponsors the program. Partner governments, public sector and private organizations, and others also support Fulbright, and academic institutions, including HSIs and other colleges and universities in the US and around the world, provide invaluable support for the program. They do this through providing financial and in-kind contributions to US students and scholars, foreign students, and visiting scholars. Several nonprofit organizations administer components of the Fulbright program on behalf of ECA, including the Institute of International Education, or IIE, and World Learning, who are here today. And we thank our colleagues at IIE for organizing today's workshop. Since 1946, over 400,000 Fulbrighters of all backgrounds, students, teachers, scholars, artists, and professionals from the United States and over 160 other countries around the world have participated in the Fulbright program. Fulbright has a long history of expanding opportunities for Americans from all backgrounds to study, research, and teach abroad, where they collectively represent the great diversity of the US and share their unique American experiences with individuals throughout their exchanges. We know that Fulbright's diversity is its strength, and this is reflected by our exceptional alumni who include current and former heads of state and of government, Nobel laureates and Pulitzer Prize recipients, and thousands of exceptional alumni in countless fields making impacts on campuses, communities, professional sectors, and really the whole world. Fulbright has an impressive alumni network, which reflects close ties with HSIs and to the Hispanic and Latinx communities. Some of those alumni include Dr. Mildred Garcia, who is the first Latina president in the California State University system and the current president of the American Association of State Colleges and Universities. Three MacArthur Genius Grants were awarded to Fulbrighters in the past two recent classes, including Martha Gonzalez, who is a musician, scholar, artist, and activist working on strengthening US-Mexico cross-border ties. Daniel Alarcon, a writer, professor, and producer of the NPR podcast Radio Ambulante, and early career alumni who are making an impact like Vanessa Diaz, who is the co-founder of the Fulbright Latinx Affinity Group, and who also represented Fulbright at the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities, or HACU conference this year, and also in previous years. We also welcome the alumni that we have serving on our panel today, as well as those of you in the audience who may be Fulbright alumni. We're really excited to host today's Fulbright HSI workshop and to again recognize our 2022 Fulbright HSI leaders. ECA's Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Academic Programs, Ethan Rosenzweig, when announcing the 2022 Fulbright HSI leaders during this year's HAKU annual conference, noted the strong relationship between HSIs and the Fulbright program, stating that the Fulbright's program success with HSIs is built on real collaboration with you and your institutions. And of course, we all at ECA agree with that sentiment. We at the Fulbright program are committed to supporting Hispanic-serving institutions and the Hispanic and Latinx communities that they serve. We know how valuable a diverse community of Fulbright students and scholars is to the success of the Fulbright program and to building mutual understanding between American and international communities. Today's workshop includes panelists from 3 of this year's Fulbright HSI leaders who will focus on how their HSIs have strengthened their engagement with the Fulbright program as a means to enhance campus internationalization and global engagement efforts essential in the 21st century. Our moderator, Dr. David Mendez, is Chief of Staff to the President of HAKU. The State Department and the Fulbright program have a long-standing relationship with HAKU, and we just renewed our Memorandum of Understanding last month. So thank you, Dr. Mendez, and to all of our panelists who are here today, and also to our audience for taking time to be here today. We look forward to having a robust conversation about ways to increase engagement with the Fulbright program's many great opportunities and benefits. So thank you again on behalf of ECA. And with that, I will hand it over to Dr. Mendez to get us started with today's panel.
Great, and thank you so much, Natalie, for your words and for your message. Greetings and saludos from San Antonio, Texas, headquarters to the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities. My name is David Mendez, and over the years, I've worked at public and private institutions around the nation. And I have to say that I've worn many hats. And with all due respect, I consider myself not only a fan of Fulbright, but also an advocate of their excellent programs. Most recently, as the new Chief of Staff in the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities, I am truly honored to be your moderator today. So I'm also an advocate of excellence in Hispanic education, and also we serve all of our Hispanic serving partners to make sure that our mission is accomplished. HAKU was established in 1986 with a founding membership of 18 institutions. Today, HAKU represents more than 500 colleges and universities committed to Hispanic higher education success in the US, Puerto Rico, Latin America, Spain, and several US districts. Although our member institutions in the US represent only 17% of all higher education institutions nationwide, together they're home to 2/3 of all Hispanic college students. Let me also share that our HSI partner institutions are also the most diverse and enroll the largest number of minority students across the nation. As a new Chief of Staff, I'm proud to say that HAKU is the only national educational association that represents Hispanic-serving institutions in the US and abroad. So as we go through today's workshop, let me commend Fulbright for taking the time and the opportunity to reach out to Hispanic-serving institutions, given that there is a lot of talent. There are a lot of students eager to learn and to have diverse experiences, especially of the quality and excellence of Fulbright. Today, I'm joined by 3 panelists, 3 experts from Hispanic-serving institutions, Ms. Gladys Herrera-Berkowitz, Director of Student Engagement and Undergraduate Education at the University of California, Riverside, Birgitta Rausch-Montoto, Director of Global Strategy and Faculty Success at Florida International University, and Ricardo Castro Salazar, Curriculum Development and Training and Teaching and Learning Center Director. Let me actually ask them to introduce themselves, perhaps as to their role and their interaction with the Fulbright program. We have 3 very distinct roles that they play, and I'm hoping that they will share their experiences, certainly the lessons learned from the trenches as they implemented the programs and as they supported, students or professors, faculty or staff. So let me ask you to brief an overview of the kind of work that you've done on your campus, very briefly, I just say that. But let's start with Gladys. Please, Gladys.
Hello, everyone. I'm Gladys Berkowitz, and I'm the Director of Student Engagement Programs, and we're under the Division of Undergraduate Education. We do a lot of work with students on high impact practices, such as undergraduate research. We have a program called R courses, and capital internships. And we work with prestigious scholarships, and this is where Fulbright comes in. We try and recruit some of our undergraduates from the programs that we're working with, as well as campus partners, like our University Honors Program and various departments across campus. I also work with a partner who works in the graduate division, and she works with the graduate students, and I handle the undergraduates. We really have built up our program over the last several years by including lots of faculty participants, people that have been Fulbrighters or who are experts in the host countries that students are applying to. And therefore, we create a really great learning experience for students. From the very beginning, we tell them that irregardless of what the outcome is, they will learn so much about themselves in putting their applications together. So this is really a growth experience for them. And many of them, irregardless of what the outcomes are, become supporters and help us in recruiting that next cohort of applicants for the program. So this is exciting work for us.
Let me just share that as a champion of Hispanic and Fulbright education, UCR has had 3 Outreach Learning Fund scholars and 3 actually scholars in residence, I believe. And 16 students have been involved. So congratulations, Gladys. But I know that Birgitta has something to share as well. So Gita, please tell us about your experience.
Thank you so much, David. And you did well pronouncing my full name, so I applaud you for that. Thank you. And thank you to the State Department and Fulbright for recognizing FIU as a Fulbright HSI leader now for the 2nd year in a row. We're honored to accept this. FIU is a large institution in Miami with 56,000 students. We're among the top 10 largest universities in the nation. And we have 61% Hispanic students. So this is very important to us because that's the brand of our student body. We're a very diverse institution, and so we thrive in this environment, and we do want to bring more of our students and faculty abroad, and of course also invite more students and faculty through Fulbright to come to our campus. I am one of 2 Fulbright campus liaisons. My colleague, Professor Asef Ameles, is a Fulbright scholar to Ethiopia, and he is supporting me in the effort to promote the scholar and specialist programs. Our colleague, Ashley Kuntz, is the Fulbright program advisor on campus, and we work very closely together because I think there's nobody better to promote Fulbright on campus than Fulbrighters. And so we're in constant contact to see how the students can do this job, the faculty can do this job, the alumni can do this job, and of course, Hispanic students and Hispanic faculty, talking to Hispanic students and Hispanic faculty to set an example and to inspire them. We have been a top producer of Fulbright scholars multiple times. We're doing quite well in regards to sending scholars abroad. We should be doing a lot better in regards to sending students abroad. And Gladys, I will be paying close attention to how you get students to go. Our students often stay at home in Miami with their families and with their job responsibilities. And so we need to do a better job promoting opportunities for them. So I'm looking forward to sharing what we're doing, but I'm also very excited to listen to Gladys and Ricardo to the good work that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Gita. Let me just recognize the fact that over the past 5 years, FIU has had 14 Outreach Lecturing Fund scholars, 4 scholars in residence, 17 U.S. scholars, and 5 U.S. Students. And in addition, FIU has also had 17 foreign language teaching assistants. Congratulations, Gita. You've been busy as well as our other panelists, indeed. And now let's move up to our next panelist, Ricardo. I was delighted to hear that community colleges have been included in this conversation and workshop. And yes, Fulbright is also available for community colleges. So Ricardo, please, let's share about your experience so far.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. And I am also the Fulbright liaison for Pima Community College. I am now working in the Teaching and Learning Center for the district and in curriculum development and training. So that means I have some privileged access to faculty members and including our adjunct faculty members. And of course, we use that as a vehicle for promoting the Fulbright program. I was the first vice president for international development for the college. I'm also the first generation immigrant who became a dean. So as a Hispanic, I am very interested in Fulbright because I am a product of international education. And I want others to have a global perspective. And the Fulbright program is one of the fantastic, excellent vehicles to do that. I created the first strategic plan for the college, and one of the goals was to, community engagement, community and global engagement, and of course, Fulbright was part of that goal. And we also have been the #1 producer of Fulbright scholars among two-year institutions. So very happy to be here, and I'm here to tell other community colleges that they can do it too, and they should get involved with Fulbright.
Great, thank you so much, Ricardo. You know, before I ask specific questions to each one of the panelists, let me just share an overall question for everyone, especially for those in the workshop who may not be as engaged with the Fulbright program. What is your best advice on how to get started with the Fulbright program? You know, please share something concrete, perhaps that you did on your campus and it really worked out. And we'll go reverse. So Ricardo, I'm going to put you on the spot right away.
We got in touch with Fulbright immediately as we defined this as one of our objectives. And what I have found is enormous support. So don't do it on your own. My advice would be get in touch with Fulbright. They're always open, very receptive, and full of just very useful and significant advice.
Great. Now, Geeta, you've been doing this for quite some time. And, you know, if you look back, yes, you know, those first 3 steps, perhaps, you know, that someone can or should take as they want to get more and more involved and engaged with Fulbright.
Yeah, I think maybe maybe the first thing was that I took a look, how many Fulbrighters do we have on campus? And, you know, that was very enlightening because we had so many. At the time, even our president was a Fulbrighter. I think that was the first nudge to me to say, wait a minute, if he's a Fulbrighter, how many others do we have on campus? So first of all, take a look at how many folks you have on campus to have an idea. That already makes you an expert because many times, I mean, we're so large, we're 56,000 students and close to 10,000 employees. You know, it's hard to keep track of anything. But once I had that information, I realized almost every college had Fulbright alumni. So that's a rich resource to work with and to connect. Nobody had ever done that. Then I've repeatedly invited Athena and others to campus to give a workshop on our campus. And this was before the pandemic. So I think much of this now happens online, virtually, but that was tremendously helpful. The workshops themselves, I learned a lot, but also the conversations in between with the Fulbright staff, Almira from the specialist program. There were lots of conversations about how's FIU involved and not. I think those were the 2 most critical ones. And then constantly receiving these wonderful resources from IIE, right? There's a lot of helpful resources. The webinars, there's a very rich archive of webinars. There's either live webinars or recorded ones. And so those are terrific resources where you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Excellent. Excellent. You know, as a HACU team member, we get to visit partners all around the nation. And most recently, as a matter of fact, I visited UC Riverside for the very first time ever, Gladys. And I did observe, a lot of good interactions on campus. I mean, I took time to walk around to kind of get a sense of, faculty, staff, and administrators and how you come together. What would you recommend based on your experience, Gladys?
I think first off, like Gita said, find out who are the Fulbrighters on your campus because they are the best advocate. I did a survey and I found the faculty and I began to talk to them about their experiences because this is something that for our campus, they're about 52% of our students are first generation. Many have never heard about Fulbright. So getting the word out about how this program can benefit them, not just for going abroad after they graduate, but long-term, what are those career opportunities? So faculty have been great resources, connecting around campus because we can't do this on our own. So who are the partners that can support us? I found a person in our academic resource center who is a writing support person. So she became engaged and she helped me in refining students' applications, which was really important. And I'm really happy to say that she's now brought on to our office and now works with me more directly because we were able to show our successes. As Gita said, taking advantage of the resources that IIE has. Laura Suri is wonderful in connecting us to resources. We've had people come from Fulbright to our campus to do visits and talk to students directly. We've also taken advantage now that things are utilized on Zoom. We have the group presentation sessions, and this is a great opportunity for students to really understand directly from Fulbright all of the opportunities and benefits long-term that they can get from this. And also career opportunities, because many of our students don't know the doors that open once you become a Fulbrighter. So I think that that's really important. We've actually set up faculty committees that help us with interviews and often connecting students to people that maybe they would not have encountered unless they apply for this opportunity. And they become mentors to them afterwards. So it's, again, as I said, it's a big learning experience for the students. It's very positive. Many of our students still struggle with imposter syndrome, that they feel that they're not going to be competitive at this international level. So a lot of our student applicants and Fulbrighters, we bring back to talk to them. We have conversations with some of our Fulbrighters that are abroad, and also the students that have gone through the application cycle when we start the new recruitment to talk to them about, again, that learning experience, the time that has to be invested in their applications. And again, the fact that we now have 15 Fulbright scholars is really enforces to the students that yes, they're just as qualified, and we have that support that's going to help them get through the whole application process.
Gladys, thank you so much. That leads me into a personal question, if I may. As you reach out to Hispanic students, are there any particular strategies without falling into the stereotyping arena, how do you connect with the Hispanic community? How do you connect with Hispanic students, with Hispanic staff and Hispanic faculty members? And we know for a fact that we're operating certainly within, our campus, the General University campus, but there's some distinct ways to connect, if I may, right? So any of you have any ideas on how to reach out to the Hispanic community?
As I said earlier, just building those connections and networking and letting people know that we're here to support the Fulbright program. Our campus is 26,000. And we used to be this small hub that everybody knew everyone. It's getting so big now that it's really important to connect to the Chicano student programs, to faculty across campus. We have a Latino affiliate program. So connecting there and talking to them about the opportunities and helping them, because oftentimes students may be interested in Fulbright, but it really takes someone who knows them, whether it's a faculty member, a staff member, somebody who pushes them and says, you're eligible for this, go talk to Gladys. I think that is like the most important aspect, is building that connection and being able to refer students to the resources that we have. And
certainly positioning your office as a resource, right, for the community. I found it, personally, that connected with student organizations was really helpful, as in reaching out to student leaders already that have been sort of like open and receptive about, having new experiences or engaging their members into all these new experiences. So Ricardo, did you find any other strategy, or did you work on any other angle?
Well, as a liaison, I actually have made direct phone calls to faculty members to invite them to participate. Sometimes at the community college, there's also that idea that they might be not so competitive because they think they're competing with a lot of professionals in research universities, and the impression is that those scholars would have a preference. And so I have to explain that no, that is not the case. And in fact, Fulbright wants to promote their programs among community colleges. Now we are a pretty large community college, but really Fulbright works with any institution, 2-year, 4-year research that reaches out to them, and they are extremely good at it.
Excellent. And Gita, you have probably one of the largest Hispanic populations in the US, right?
Yes, and it's not hard for us to find Hispanic students on campus, right? Because with 61%, they are everywhere. But I think the key is that we need to go where the students are, right? Emails float around and nobody pays attention. So next week is International Education Week, and I have scheduled Fulbright Fest, which means we are on campus every day in a different location where the students are, where they come out of class, where they go to the food trucks, where they hang out in the library. And that's where we engage them into this conversation and to say, have you heard about this? And do you know how this may benefit you? So I think that's the key for us to having these conversations with our students.
Fantastic, great. So let's move now to the specific questions. And since each one of our panelists play a different role on campus, with respect to the programs, the Fulbright programs, that is, let me start with Gladys as a Fulbright program advisor. And what have you found to be the best way to inform students about Fulbright opportunities? And we know that we have new generations of students on campus. We have mixed generations also on campus. So how do you get the information through?
So we dabble in a little bit of everything. So like Gita said, we host information sessions across campus. We talk to partners so that we can be invited to workshops that they have already in their departments. So for example, the honors program, we're working with our comparative literature programs where languages are housed, to see if we can get in there and talk to the students. I really feel that one of the important things is trying to get this information to our students as early as possible. So even starting as early as sophomore year, this is a time when they're adjusting and kind of have a sense of where they want to go. But there's a lot of experience that they need to get under their belt to become competitive for a Fulbright. So letting them know about opportunities that they can take advantage. Since I work with undergraduate research, when we do presentations, we usually end it with saying, here's some opportunities that you can take advantage of. So for those of you doing research, you can go anywhere in the world and do research. Here's a Fulbright program. Start learning about what it's going to take for you to connect to a partner and so forth. So that's been successful. I think using social media is really important, trying to connect to students in that regard, highlighting some of our students. So we've had several Latina students go abroad and showing them in their host countries and having them give us a little bit of feedback of how they're doing. One of the amazing things that we had during COVID, we had 2 young ladies that had gone, one went to Austria and the other one to Australia. And when they were trying to bring all the students back, they both said, no, we have found a home here. We're very much supported. And they ended up staying in their home countries, host countries. And so that's a story that I really love to tell students about the community that they build with Fulbright and how this is something that is lifelong impactful.
Yeah. Is there any particular webinar that Fulbright offers that you have actually taken advantage of, they have shared with the, with the student population?
So one thing that's been really helpful to us are the group presentation sessions where we have a representative from Fulbright speaking to the students about the benefits of the program, the application components and so forth. And then we take some time to talk about what's our process here on campus. And I always like to invite some of our alumni that are already abroad in their Fulbright programs, students who have already finished their Fulbright and are applying those skill sets for whatever career they're pursuing, and also the applicants. So that's been great. And the fact that we can record it, we've put that on our website. So it really helps for students that maybe come in more last minute saying, I'm interested in Fulbright, but I don't understand this. So I always have them go and refer to that video, and then it makes our one-on-one meetings much more productive. So they have a better understanding, and I can help them a little quicker.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. In the interesting time, I'm going to move over to Gita. Gladys, if you let me. Let me ask Gita, since she plays the role of the scholar liaison for the Fulbright U.S. Scholar Program, Gita, the scholar liaison role basically calls for you to work with your faculty and scholars throughout the process of applying and going on their Fulbright and after their return. Do you feel that your campus has Fulbright-friendly policies that help make it possible for colleagues to go on Fulbright programs? And are the policies that are in place, do you find they're most helpful?
Yeah, it's a topic that we keep addressing at FIU time and again. We don't have an official or formal policy. We don't have an incentive program or any kind of reward for scoring a Fulbright grant. However, there's many other signals we send all the time. So I often write articles, and annually, as we have new awards for scholars, I always promote them on our networks. So there's a lot of recognition, there's a lot of celebration. As I was saying, there's Fulbright Fest where I bring people together, and you know, there's this community. We also bring folks together as they return from their Fulbright Award and the ones that are about to depart. So I call this my Fulbright homecoming / send-off in the summer, where I want the baton to be turned over, and I want the ones that just returned to give tips about how to approach certain things and how to work with hosts before the next cohort leaves. We also very well know that Fulbright awards count towards our performance metrics that we get awarded by the state of Florida. So every time we have somebody considering applying for an award, we tell them that their department, their college, our university get very much recognized for that. So that's, you know, performance metrics by now, these have been in place for a few years. My colleagues in the state Florida system who are on this webinar will recognize this. Anytime you can score points in our performance metrics, where these count towards recognition by the state of Florida or even funding, that makes a big difference and people start pushing. The other thing, we had someone who assumed that if I get this Distinguished Scholar Award, I will certainly get my sabbatical a year early. So the scholar actually did get this award, but then the university said, not so. You cannot get a sabbatical a year early. You only qualify for your sabbatical after 7 years. So it seemed there was a little bit of a situation in the college. The dean wasn't willing to give up the sabbatical. The faculty member really wanted to go. So I intervened, right? When the provost office, and I'm located in the provost office, when the provost office calls and tells the dean, you need to make this happen because this is Fulbright and this is important for you, for your college, for the faculty member. That makes a difference. And so we help the college work through the dynamics on how do you fill the vacuum that the scholar leaves once he is abroad. How about the finances that go along with it? So we don't have a central pot of funds, but we have the expertise to help the colleges or the department on how to make this happen.
You know, as the director of global strategy and faculty success, and, you know, as I read your title, I mean, it really points at the need, you know, the critical need to establish strong relationships with faculty members across campus, regardless of their department or their area of expertise, correct?
Yeah.
And so a couple of things that caught my attention as I reviewed some of the outstanding work that's been done over at FIU. For example, how has having a Fulbright grant influenced faculty members teaching and bringing international perspectives to the classroom. I'm very curious about that as a former professor. So did they actually take what they learned to the classroom?
Yeah, and of course, there's everyone is different, right? Every award is different. Every faculty member is different, returning. But let me give you a perfect example, and this is a specialist award. This is not a scholar award, but this is a faculty member who went out on a specialist award. Professor Rob Garrett, who is a professor of criminal justice who went to Iceland. He was invited by the University of Akureyri and by the National Police Commission. So it wasn't only a university, but it was also a non-university governing body in the country that was interested in his work. And he went there with the expectation that he would help them advance their curriculum, their policies and procedures and professional development for faculty, their trainings for faculty, and not only about policing, but looking at cybercrime also from the perspective of the criminal justice system and criminology. He was really pleased to learn, actually, first of all, and this was not an expectation for him, he was pleased to see that the systems aren't that different, or the problems aren't that different, right? The problems are exactly the same, more or less, in Iceland and the United States. So there were more commonalities than differences. And so this was one big takeaway for him, to basically be able to teach global perspectives from the US perspective and Iceland. He built this into his curriculum, of course, into his classes, and now can always refer his students also to the partners in Iceland to say, you can talk to the faculty and the students over there, and we can study this together with different perspectives, but yet then the same perspectives. And so there was lots of that. And he's one example that I know quite well, how he brought this back into his classroom.
Pardon me for asking another question. As a former TA and teaching assistant, I resort to my experiences also as a graduate student. How have you incorporated, the teaching assistants into campus life, into the students, into our campus in general?
So I think you're asking about the foreign language teaching assistants.
Correct,
right?
yes.
The Fulbright program. And in general, I'm not that involved with students outbound and inbound, but because last year, one of our Fulbright scholars went abroad to Pakistan while also hosting 4 foreign language teaching assistants at FIU at the same time. Now, mind you, he was in Pakistan doing his research, but also hosted 4 language teaching assistants at FIU. He is my Fulbright superstar, trust me. So I said, I'll step in, I'll help you host those 4 who happen to come from Uzbekistan, Turkey, India, and Pakistan. And it was fabulous. I mean, it started with me helping out, picking them up from the airport, schlepping their heavy luggage, which had a lot of cultural artifacts and knickknacks. I mean, it was amazing what these students brought with them and how they integrated themselves into the campus community. So the foreign language teaching assistants at FIU not only teach formally in the classroom, but they find creative ways to engage on campus at other events, international events and campus events, where Anna from Pakistan always insisted she had to bring some specialty, something cooked, typical from Pakistan. And Shintan from India, he had invited the campus community, which was really special, to his family home celebration on the god Ganesha, which is an annual celebration and a worship where he digitally, virtually invited us to join his family during the celebration, which was very special. It was a very special moment. And so these students, I could never keep up with them because the 4 of them had so many wonderful ideas on how to share their culture, their language, teaching moment, but just very interpersonal moments. And so leave it up to the students, they'll find a way to do it.
Wonderful, great, thank you so much. And let's move to the community college arena. I can say that Ricardo is one of the pioneers in internationalization within a community college scenario. And I'm very curious to hear what he's done most recently, as we actually spent time together at conferences and talked about our mutual experiences in dealing with internationalization. But Ricardo, you and I know when it comes to global education and internationalization, leadership plays a key role. Actually,
Absolutely.
not only important, but transcendental and transformational role on any campus. So are there any specific strategies that you use to involve institutions' leadership, your institution's leadership in the application process, in actually, garnering support across your campus, or even with community partners, because we know for a fact that community colleges are very connected to the communities and specifically to the Hispanic community for those HSI institutions?
Absolutely, and I think that is key. For PIMA, we are very fortunate that our chancellor has a global vision and is very supportive of international education and looking at internationalization as a comprehensive effort that involves everyone in the college. So we're very lucky because when it comes to these kinds of initiatives, he's always behind. One of the things that I did, taking advantage of that perspective from the chancellor, is that I invited him to give a presentation at the Teaching and Learning Center, where he talked about his global perspective. And it was kind of an interview. And of course, Fulbright was part of the conversation. But also very clearly some of our deans and obviously faculty members, but the leadership is everywhere in the community college, is not just the chancellor. And we have many, many allies that promote Fulbright. I also have invited Athena to give presentations to our faculty members. And I myself have given a presentation through the Teaching and Learning Center. One of the strategies that we have in place is that we have micro credentials that faculty members, including adjunct faculty members, can obtain through participating in a number of sessions through the Teaching and Learning Center. And some of these sessions for the Global Learning Certificate involve or can involve Fulbright. And in fact, we actually pay adjunct faculty to participate in these sessions, in some of these sessions. And when we present it for Fulbright, we pay them to participate. So it is a multi-effort that could not be possible without the leadership, like you correctly point out. And I think all the community colleges listening right now, if you are not sure your leadership supports Fulbright, go and talk to them. Go and talk to your dean, to your department head, even your chancellor or your president. And I'm sure if they have internationalization in mind, they will become interested in Fulbright for sure.
Great, Ricardo. PIMA has had 4 outreach lecturing fund scholars and 4 scholars in residence over the past 5 years. Congratulations on that accomplishment.
Thank you.
What tips would you provide to prospective applicants, other community colleges, to prepare a compelling application to host?
Well, there are several strategies that they can use, but one of the most important ones is don't do it on your own. Just ask for help, ask for feedback, and that is always very important to have that perspective. Now, if you are going to write a very professional proposal, it does not mean that you cannot be yourself. In fact, be yourself, have a story to tell about why this is so crucial for you and so important, and let those reviewers know that you are a human being with a very interesting story to tell. And don't, in the particular case of the community college, don't feel like you're not good enough. Just do it, and you will get there, because I've seen it, and I myself have been an administrative scholar in Russia. We just had a scholar in India. And of course, we have had the reverse, the SIRs, but we can put them in touch, all of these faculty members who are interested, we can put them in touch with other faculty members who have had the experience, and they will help guide you as well.
You know, as I moved from institutions to institutions, there was this conception that hosting a long-term visitor is quite a difficult endeavor, you know, such as the SIR program. How do you feel about that, Ricardo?
It's actually not difficult at all when you have the right support. And here at PIMA, we do have the right support, I feel, from the leadership, but also from many other people across the college and within the community. We always involve those SIRs in the community. And for example, we've had a medical doctor from Nigeria who was a specialist in diabetes, and he gave several presentations for a couple of hospitals in town, for the WCA, for different organizations. We also had a Brazilian expert in technical aspect of I forget what his specialty was, but he was a consulting. He did some consulting with local companies on mechatronics. He had a doctoral degree from Germany, and he was a Brazilian engineer. Fantastic SRI. Then we had a professor from Turkey who actually helped us review our ESL program. So we always involve them in not only campus activities, but also with the community. And that is one of the best ways to develop them and to maximize the impact that they bring. But it's not really difficult to do once you have the support and you involve them in the different areas of your institution.
Great, thank you so much, Ricardo. You know, before we wrap up, you know, the program, let me ask some of the delicious questions, if I may. You know, and I want you to be as candid as possible, because you're three experienced experts in the field, and we truly respect the work you've done and your institutions, right? So I'm just going to ask the question, and voluntarily you may raise your hand, and without any particular order, so as you feel comfortable. Here's the first one. Have you encountered any obstacles at your institution? And what have you done to overcome them? Let's see, do I have a volunteer for that one?
Sure, I can talk about obstacles. I'll talk about one that comes into my mind. So we had an associate dean of engineering who said, our students don't have time for Fulbrights. They need to get to the finish line and graduate on time. And I thought that was a very short-sighted response. And I felt, for an associate dean who was tasked with student success as one of the many other things he was tasked with, and I understand he had to juggle a lot and it was a difficult job. At the same time, I thought, well, you just had a great example. You had a mechanical engineering student who went to Germany, worked with some of the top automakers in Germany on a Fulbright, came back, scored some terrific internships in the United States with great companies. So he kind of defeated his own argument there. And I thought that's a shame. So I walk around him, and I know this is recorded, but I'll be honest about that. I work around him. I go to the advisors. I go to the students directly. I work with the faculty in engineering. We have quite a few engineering faculty who have gone on Fulbrights. And so I asked them to promote the program and for them to identify the ideal candidates for the Fulbright program.
Excellent. Thank you. Gladys, Ricardo?
Well, I can,
Any-
Gladys, were you going to say something?
Yes,
Go ahead.
Gladys. Yes, Gladys.
Something that we all struggle with in staffing. It's really hard we could do so much more if we had more hands. So I think trying to build those partnerships and figuring out who are your supporters and bringing them into the process. So as I said earlier, we establish a faculty advisory board. So I bring in people who have been Fulbrighters or have experience in the host countries that students are applying to. So as they get to know them, they become supporters and they spread the word about what we're doing and why it's important. So, but it's building relationships. The other thing I wanted to mention for those of you that are starting in this work, there is an association called the National Association of Fellowship Advisors. And this is a great group to join because so many of us are doing advising for Fulbright or other awards, but there's a listserv and you can see questions coming up and you can kind of learn about the process and some of these challenges. How do you get around them? So I would highly recommend that people join that organization and get that support, because sometimes you feel like you're isolated and you're the only one who's doing this, and you need that group to help reinforce how important this work is. And it's all for our students or our faculty. Everybody benefits if we get involved.
Great. Thank you, Ricardo. I know you have a lot of experience and a lot to say about this particular question, but we just need a brief one before we actually entertain possibly one question from the audience. And I have some information to relay as closing remarks.
Very quickly for the community college attendees, we had at one point a criticism from someone who said community colleges need to focus on the community. We don't need that international stuff. In reality, the communities of today are not the communities of 100 years ago. There's no community that is limited by geographical boundaries. The communities of today are global communities, and community colleges are global institutions. All prestigious community colleges are global institutions. I have a lot to say about that, but I will leave it there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if we have a minute or two for a question, Chris, and you let me know. How are we doing?
Hello. Yes, I think we have time to maybe take one question. And so I will just ask this, and anyone who wants to come off mute and share, please feel free. So this question is, how do you get students started with the application process? And what are your quick tips for helping students craft a successful application? So if you could maybe each of you give just a couple bullet points of your top tips for actually helping students put that packet together and send it off.
Start since I work with students. We do information sessions in spring quarter and also in the summer. And we talk to students about the importance of getting started early. I meet with the students, I help them strategize their application. And it's really enforcing to them that this is something that they have to invest the time in, that they can't come in the week before and apply. So getting that started, and like I said, I recruited the help of a writing specialist who, once we have a nice rough draft, the writing specialist will then come in and help refine it. We have an interview committee, which is faculty members, and we ask really tough questions of the students of their application, and we try and kind of poke holes in there to help them, because at the end we give them feedback on where are your strengths, where are your weaknesses. I give them their application back and let them go back and refine it before we do the final submission. So it's a good learning process from them. They're refining their writing, they're interviewing, so they're able to communicate why they want this award. And I think that makes the application that much stronger.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Gladys, for sharing that. We know for a fact that Fulbright staff is always available. They've always been helpful and supportive. That the website actually, provides great information. Social media is always on, always sending invites for programs, webinars, and so on and so forth. Don't forget alumni. There are lots of people that have gone through the process and through the experience that are willing to share what they learned. And certainly, reach out to the Fulbright Alumni Association, the Fulbright Network, and the U.S. Exchange alumni. Let me also share that as you look to increasing resources to augment your institution's international programs, including Fulbright, and this is a call for Hispanic-Serving Institutions. Please remember that you can use their U.S. Department of Education Title V funding for staffing, visiting, scholar support, student, faculty, and staff training, conferences, attendance, etc. So please reach out to your title funding coordinator or director on campus to look at possibilities and opportunities for funding your international programs. So by all means, I'm very happy to see that some of the Title V directors are in attendance today. So by all means, again, please reach out to them. Time runs and flies. Thanks very much to all three of you, to our audience, and thank you for this robust conversation and the opportunity to learn from your expertise and experience. I've really enjoyed moderating this conversation. And as we come to a close, please remember that there will be further opportunities for Hispanic-Serving Institutions to engage with the Fulbright program. IIE will send follow-up emails with information about resources and training and virtual campus visits. We also encourage you and other colleagues to review the Fulbright Fundamentals video that was emailed to each one of you prior to the workshop. We hope that all who attended, those who are just getting acquainted with the Fulbright program, to those who have already been recognized as Fulbright HSI leaders, have gained useful information today to equip you to better advantage of all the Fulbright programs. Many great opportunities and benefits. Allow me also to invite you to visit the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities website. We also offer great programs along with and aligned with the Fulbright program. Fulbright is certainly committed to supporting Hispanic-serving institutions. We know how valuable a diverse community of Fulbright students and scholars is to the success of the Fulbright program and to mutual understanding in American international communities. As we close today's workshop, I would like to join the Fulbright program in thanking you for all you do to support the program at your institutions. Muchas gracias. Buenas tardes. And I'm looking forward to visiting your institutions as well very soon.